You finally finished your song and now you're thinking of releasing it out into the world, but you don't know where to start. Then this is the right video for you. Hey, my name is Jonas Fasching. I'm a music producer from Switzerland and I've experienced both. I had label deals in the past, but I also released music independently. And today I will talk about the experiences I had going both ways. I will share with you the pros and cons of both sides that can help you if you have to decide which route you want to take. And at the end of this video I will share with you some free bonus tips about the differences between a record label and a publisher that you might have not known yet, so stick around. So basically you can't upload music to Spotify by yourself. You have to work together with one of two entities. Either with a distributor, such as CD Baby or TuneCore. I personally use DistroKid and until now I'm quite satisfied with them. The other way is through a record label. Now there are two kinds of record labels. There are the major labels, such as Sony, Universal or Warner, and smaller independent labels. So basically the major labels have major money behind them and signing with them is quite a big deal. They have money to pay for studio fees, for mixing engineers or even for touring, so signing with them is almost like getting married. So it's probably good to get a lawyer. I personally don't have any experience with major labels, so I will not dive any deeper into them. If you want to learn more about major labels, I can recommend the book Everything You Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald S. Passman. It's a very dense and interesting book, but also very focused on the US market. So you will have to adapt some things if you're not living in the US. Now, independent labels are way smaller and the deal structures are often very different. Independent labels have a much smaller budget and the contracts that I had in the past were always limited to one release only. Now let me tell you about the pros and cons of both ways and how I experienced them. If you decide to release music independently, then these are the pros. You will have 100% creative freedom. For example, you can decide which songs you want to release and in which order. Also the cover art and just the whole branding of the release is up to you. You can really own it and make it yours. Next, the schedule. You are completely free when you want to release the music. This was actually one of the main reasons why I decided to try out independent releases. I'm currently releasing quite regularly about one song every month, and with a record label you cannot always do that. Sometimes a release takes several months or even up to a year, and by the time the song gets released, you already forgot that you even made it in the first place. Also, if you decide to go independent, you will keep all the rights. So you can basically decide everything concerning the song. For example, songs that I released with a label, I sometimes cannot even use them in my YouTube videos if they didn't whitelist my account. I just really like this thought of keeping the rights with me. Now for the cons. It's definitely promotion. A label can be a huge boost because a label already has an audience on its own. If you go independent, you maybe don't have this yet. So this depends on how big your following already is. If no one knows you yet, then no one will listen to your music. So you have to create awareness by yourself. This can be done by posting content about your release or even buying ads. What I wouldn't recommend though is paying to get into a playlist. These playlists are often full of bots and fake accounts, and this will definitely hurt your long-term growth. So organic growth and content always wins the long game in my opinion. Next, you will also have to pay for everything yourself. The mastering, the promotion, the cover art, it all costs money. A label often pays for these things in advance. So you're basically in debt with the label until you recouped the costs of your release with the sales of your music. Which leads me to the next step. You will have to put in more work. You have to decide many more things and you have to set up everything by yourself. This can be a nice process for some, but also stressful for others. But it will most certainly involve more time and work that you have to invest. Now, the upsides of going with a label. You will definitely profit from the network that the label has to offer, so you will get connected to other artists. This can lead to collaborations and remixes. And sometimes labels are also hosting events where you can get booked at to play a show. I think the network is almost what I like most about labels. It's just a really nice way to meet new like-minded people if it is a label that cultivates these relationships. Another thing is validation. As a newcomer, releasing with a well-known label can be a point of validation. It's like a stamp or a certificate that you receive that shows the world, look, I'm with them now. I think this can sometimes really mean a boost for the artist. And for many musicians, this is their first step onto a bigger stage. The last one is reach. Labels already have listeners and DJs that buy their music, so you will definitely profit from this. Now for the cons. You are dependent on more people. That means that the process can take longer. That means that you sometimes can't decide when the release will come out, but the schedule of the label will dictate that. So overall, I would say that it is a certain amount of loss of control that you have to accept. You also can't control which other artists will release on the label and what the label will do in the future. So it is also really a matter of trust between the musician and the label. Last but not least, you will have to take a pay cut and give away a part of the revenue. Now the amount really depends on the label and deal structure you have. On many independent labels it is 50% artist and 50% label after the costs of the release have been recouped. But if you have a lot of influence and skills, you may be able to negotiate. For major labels, it is mostly way more for the label. Sometimes it's between 80% for the label and 20% for the artist, which is quite a lot if you ask me. But I guess it's sometimes also worth it if you take the upside into account that the label has to offer. Now, which way you want to go, you have to decide for yourself. There's really no right or wrong, and I think that both ways still make totally sense even in the year 2024. There's still a big place for record labels, and I don't think that this will change in the near future. Now, as I promised, my little bonus input, label versus publisher. A label has the right for the master recording, so the actual file that gets uploaded to Spotify. A publisher, on the other hand, manages the copyright of the actual song, so the composition and the lyrics, for example. Publishing rights become important when someone wants to make a cover of your song, or when you want to place your song in a movie. This is often called sync in music industry terms. Now you might think that this is not for you because you don't have a publisher. That's not completely right. Because if you don't have a publisher, you have to manage these rights on your own. Basically, the label hosts and pays you only one part, the royalties for the master rights. If you also want to receive royalties on the publishing side, you will have to sign up with a copyright collecting society. And this now really depends on the country you live in. In Switzerland it's the Suiza, in Germany it's the GEMA, and in the US there are actually different ones, and the most popular one is the ASCAP. I live in Switzerland, so I'm signed up with Suiza, and the Suiza also has deals with other collecting societies, so they theoretically should also capture the royalties from other countries. Now I will not get any deeper into this one on here. But if you would like to hear me talk more about this, let me know in the comments. Now you know it exists, and just Google Copyright Collecting Society followed by your country if you want to find out more. I hope this video helped you a little bit to decide on how you want to release your music. If you liked this video, please subscribe to my channel so you will receive further videos like this one in the future. And if you're already subscribed, thank you so much. Also, I will post all the important links that I talked about in the video description. See you on the next one. Thanks for watching.